In an era of growing religious extremism, opinion makers concentrated their efforts on stemming the threat posed by radical groups. The challenge is actually to expose the developments of a counter discourse that is cultivated from the same religious foundation. Our research will fill this lacuna by exploring religious interpretations in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. Sorry.
Try to use that.
Focusing on the period from the 1990s, we will study these new voices which seek to remain within the boundaries of orthodoxy and not to deviate from the fundamentals of religion. Our research question will be, what are the drivers behind the emergence of an inclusive religious discourse in an era of radicalism? Now, in particular, we're going to study the following sub-questions. What is the role of internal and external factors in the political and social realms for the proliferation of a more universal and transnational religious debate? What is the profile of the agents that participate in this more pluralistic activity? And what are the limitations of these various groups? The research also holds important policy ramifications. It can serve as a basis for establishing strategies to encourage the more pluralistic interpretations of the religious discourse. I would like to say a few words about the existing literature on this topic. The existing literature on developments among these three monotheistic faiths since the 1990s has largely focused on the radicalization of the religious discourse. While there are studies on modern and reformist trends, this scholarship tends to elaborate on earlier 20th century developments. The contribution of our project is on understanding new interpretations actually from within the framework of traditionalism. The period from the 1990s is an important starting point for our research with the proliferation of globalization and its impact on the relationship between religion and state. These decades also witnessed the emergence of jihadist movements throughout the Muslim world. In addition, the Sunni-Shia historical conflict re-emerged following the empowerment of Shiites in the region. Furthermore, the rise of Hezbollah challenged the historical dominance of the Christian community in Lebanon. Important political developments also occurred in Israel, with the growing fragmentation of society and the deepening of cleavages on the basis of primordial characteristics. The expansion of evangelical groups in Latin America, the decline of participation in religious activities within the Catholic world also questions traditional Christian notions. The emphasis of this study will be on new religious spaces, alternative sources of authority, the place of the individual, universal notions, and transnational networks. We will focus on several case studies which I will soon elaborate on. So as you see, okay, okay, I don't know why it's a problem here with the connection. זה פשוט קופץ.
רגע, איפה הקליקר? רבותיי, אצל מי הקליקר?
It's there, מאחורי המחלקת.
בסדר פה.
Okay. So we have here our four case studies that we're going to focus on. One is the Wasatiyah Party in Egypt and Palestine. The second case study is Jews of Arab origins, both in Israel and Latin America. And specifically, we're going to focus on the impact of the Shas movement. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, we're going to focus on a counter-discourse among Shia intellectuals and clerical scholars. And Christian Arabs in Lebanon, this is still a question mark since we need to add another scholar to our research group in order to promote this case study. Now, as you see here in the table here, we have various characteristics that are common to these case studies and also focus on our message of more universalism, a counter to the more radical discourse. So we have the aspect of transnationalism that cuts across all these case studies. We have these are also areas of ethno and religious conflict. We have also the parameter of elite grassroots initiatives, and we have universal orientations among these four groups. Of course, this also needs to be explored more in depth, but we just wanted to give you a taste of what we plan to do in our research groups. Now, I would like to elaborate a bit more about these case studies and their significance. So in Egypt, again, from our starting point in the 1990s, Mubarak begins to encourage moderate Islamic voices affiliated with Al-Azhar. In addition, Sufi movements began considering the political realm, and Al-Azhar itself voiced mystical notions. Concurrently with the development of satellite TV channels in the Arab world from the 1990s, the Egyptian government approved the broadcasting of religious programs that presented a critique of radical Islamism. Our next case study, Israel. Also in Israel, this period witnessed the strengthening of a more inclusive Orthodox tendency linked to the ethnicity of its followers. Shas movement was founded in 1984, presenting a softer alternative to the strict ultra-Orthodoxy, and also empowering the marginalized traditional Jewish Israelis of Arab origins. The third case study, or possibly the fourth, Lebanon, with its interdenominational tensions, is a laboratory of testing the shifting Christian Arab identities as members of this community are faced and challenged by Islamic radicalism. The fourth case study, Islamic Republic of Iran. In the second decade following the revolution, the Islamic Republic began gradually shifting from an exclusive revolutionary worldview towards a more pragmatic orientation. From the 1990s and onwards, the Islamic Republic witnessed reoccurring fragmentations on political and cultural spheres. Yet the institutional debate in Iran reflected actually openness and innovation and the search for solutions for contemporary practical situation. I would like to say a few words about our methodology. So we will focus on qualitative methods, the content analysis of religious texts in these diverse case studies which I mentioned. We're going to look into pamphlets, newspapers, religious court records, fatwas, and legal opinions. We're also going to explore television programs in national media channels, books, Friday sermons, and the web media. In addition, and we have among our members, we have different abilities. So we also have experts that can hold interviews with key informants from a more sociological perspective and participate in observing ritual projects. I would like to emphasize that this project will fit in with the goals of the Truman Institute by focusing, again, from a comparative perspective on universal religious interpretations within these three monotheistic religions. Thank you.